Hi everyone, thanks for those joining us live today. I am so pleased to introduce Teresa to you. Teresa is from Nourish with Oils and she's here to talk to you today about, so it's just somebody felt sent to let them in, about moving from burnout to balance, top tips for improving energy and using natural solutions to support our emotions with essential oils. So I have known Teresa for a little while now, and she certainly helped me. I absolutely love Doterra oils, and so I needed some help myself to get over some kind of burnout symptoms that I've been having. And as the universe does, it kind of our paths crossed, and Teresa is an absolute font of knowledge. What I absolutely love about Teresa as well, and why we really sort of connected, is her story. And it's an incredible one. I won't give you any spoilers now. I will hand you over to Teresa and she'll tell you all about it herself. But I know that you will get so much out of today. If you have any questions, if you'd just like to ask Teresa at the end, and yeah, without further ado, I will hand you over. So over to you, Teresa. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for the lovely intro, Katie. So I kind of like telling stories, and I'm a bit of a tangent master, but I do have a bit of structure. So I am going to share my story, but I'm going to try to pull out of that story like practical lessons of what I've learned from that, and how hopefully there'll be some useful tips and takeaways and concrete things that you can bring into your own lives. So if I just give you a little bit of background, I'm a single mum. I'm Australian. I live in Wiltshire and now, but I was a management consultant in one of the biggest professional services firms in the world, based out of London. So I was commuting up to London from like 2.5, 3, sometimes 4 hours, depending on how well the trains were working, with a high stress job and being a single mum with a young under 5-year-old daughter. And I sort of felt like I had these golden handcuffs of like a well-paid job, but I'd been doing it for a long time. And I was really grateful for the work that I was doing in that job. But also there was something in me that wasn't fully resonating. And I think it was probably now on reflection, probably the masculine energy of that corporate environment that wasn't like working for me anymore. But I was so committed to achieving and not letting down my clients. So when I actually started to get sick, I remember my glands going up. It was the 5th of September, 2014. And I've got to be on the Strand by 9 a.m. to present to these partners of this new company we'd acquired about a project I'd done. And I was on the 5:55 train despite being sick. So I went to the thing, I did the thing, I come back and I continue to get sick. It turns into a chest infection. I go to the doctors, they give me antibiotics, but I don't want to let my clients down. So I work from home. I do 10-hour days still with my Ugg boots on, up on like a rocking chair. So I'm feeling in my head like I'm resting, but I'm not. I'm working. I'm just working with my Ugg boots on, and I didn't let anybody down. I didn't drop any of my balls. I kept delivering what I was meant to do for my clients. And it kept getting worse. So September goes, October goes, I'm still coughing. So I've been like 2 months of coughing, still working. And I'm planning for a big trip to go to Myanmar. I'm so excited. I'm going to run a conference for 200 people, me and one other person, around how to expand the garment sector without avoiding the problems of Bangladesh and do it in an ethical way. Like, it was a really totally mind-blowing, awesome project. I was so proud to be part of. But I still felt sick. And I remember stopped going to the local practice. I went to the kind of work doctor. And within an hour, he sent me to get an x-ray. And then within like a day or so, he called up and he said, don't get on the plane. This is Wednesday night, 10 o'clock. I was flying at lunchtime on Friday. So I'm sick, I'm coughing, I'm spluttering, I'm exhausted. And he's like, there's an opacity on your lungs near your chest, don't get on the plane. And still the next morning I was thinking of getting on the plane. Thursday morning, I'm like, well, I really want to go. Like, I've planned this for months and what a great opportunity. And a friend said to me, like, unless another doctor says it's safe for you to travel, it would be really unwise for you to get on that plane. And it was about lunchtime on that Thursday. And it was in that moment that I really let go, like bang. And it was like this realization of why was I soldiering on? Why did I keep going? I'm really sick and I don't want to let all these clients down, but I'm hurting my own body. And there's such a soldier on attitude built into our society around when people are ill. They're just trying to, I don't know, even Lemsip, take some Lemsip and, you know, be able to carry on. Whereas those symptoms are telling you that you need to rest. And so my big first takeaway for anyone that is feeling tired or burnt out, I remember seeing a nutritionist in that November 2014, and she said, this is a sign that your body is not coping with your current lifestyle. Okay, so those signs they'll start off being quiet. I had felt tired for quite a few years before this happened, but you know, I just keep carrying on. I wasn't really listening to what my body was telling me, those signals that my body was not coping with the way that my lifestyle was set up. So the doctor gave me a 2-month sick note, and he said, your job is to just do nothing. Like, your job is to just relax and, you know, just rest. So I had this 2-month sick note, fully intending or imagining that I'd be back to work after the 2 months. But my fatigue at that point was so intense that I was basically bedbound. So I could walk up and down the stairs, but I kind of needed black. I needed the curtains shut. I couldn't even really look at my phone. I found it hard to find words. The words, my brain had also like shut down. And it got to the spring of 2015. And I remember trying to sit on a sun lounger in my garden. I bought it off John Lewis and like, I can't go for walks. The sun's shining. I feel sorry for myself. It's been like 6 months now of being really exhausted, fatigued, and ill. And I can't even go for a walk. So I got a sun lounger, but it wouldn't go flat. So I discovered that I was too tired to even sit on a sun lounger. I had to go back to my bedroom and be flat. So that was like a really like low point of my journey. And I soon after got diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, ME. So what I'm sharing is relevant to anybody without the diagnosis or that are just burnt out. But I suppose what I'm saying is I was more than burnt out. I really did a lot of damage to my body. And I believe that a big part of that was related to layer upon layer of different stress factors in my life from childhood, but they didn't impact me so much. Like, I kind of was able to soldier on with the childhood things. But they talk about like stress is like almost like a boat, and you're filling it up with each little bit of stress, and eventually there'll be the straw that broke the camel's back, or the last sort of drop of stress that means that the boat starts to sink and your body can't cope anymore. So it's really hard to listen to our bodies sometimes in the way our society is set up. But my first kind of really strong message to anyone that is feeling a lot of exhaustion and burnout is to really listen to your body. Because if you don't, there is a chance that you might end up the way I did. And that's really a possibility. And once, you know, it's a struggle then to bring yourself out of that. Linked to that, listening to your body and what it's telling you, and that it's not really normal to be tired. And if you are tired, you need to look at what the root causes are behind that, is allowing yourself to rest, not pushing through. So that might be allowing yourself to rest because you've actually, you know, got a cold, but it might be allowing yourself to rest because it's that time of the month. It might be allowing yourself to rest just because you feel tired. And trying not to push through. And that might mean letting go of things that you're trying to achieve. That might be saying no to people with the amount of things that you're scheduling socially. And it might be saying no to different things that you've kind of set up in your work life. And in my case, because I wasn't able to even work, I had to pace myself extremely carefully. And I had to give myself permission every day between 1 and 3 to sleep / rest. So I would take myself in my bedroom or on the sofa, and everybody that was close to me knew that you couldn't meet me for a walk or a coffee or to do anything between 1 and 3. So my little window of activity was in the morning. I would have a little window where I might meet someone, get some jobs done, get errands done, or do some yoga or other sort of self-care practices. But in the afternoon, before my daughter got back from school, I had to rest. Now, that might sound like a luxury, but at some points it can become a necessity. And maybe your version of rest is that I'm going to give myself 30 minutes in this point of the day where I don't have to do anything. There's another thing about resting, which is around the quality of rest, because it's very easy when you're resting to end up picking up your phone and scroll and be stimulating yourself. So if you can find ways to truly rest when you're resting, and what I was doing when I was doing those long 2-hour blocks of resting is I would listen to kind of like Deepak Chopra, Oprah Winfrey, 21 Days of Gratitude. I would listen to different things that were almost kind of like, let's say, reprogramming my thought processes. There's lots of different things that you can listen to that are really about relaxing, but also it was kind of helping me, because it's a big challenge when you have a chronic illness of any kind, or, you know, are burnt out with your mindset and with being able to kind of process and go through positively what is a really difficult experience when you don't know if you'll ever get better or if you will ever not feel that fatigue and heaviness again. So yeah, look, find what works for you. And one way that I rested is I joined the Woolly Grange. It was a local hotel that had like a spa membership. But what I found is, I know that I was lucky to have this space, but when I went to the outdoor pool and I'd sit on the sun lounger, it would stop me from doing jobs or trying to do things, and I'd find it easy to disconnect from my phone and things like that. So, and in winter, I liked just sitting in the sauna in the steam room and things like that. So whatever it is for you that can build in that ideally tech-free, not stimulating, proper quality time to rest into your schedule. Another really important thing, and I am going to share, because I used essential oils as part of my journey, but it doesn't matter how many supplements or essential oils or other things you do, if you don't address the kind of root causes of the stress that are happening in your life, you can't kind of just throw supplements at stress. So you need to try to look at the areas. I remember writing in a journal, get a book where you're putting your well-being kind of thoughts in one place. And I remember writing the 4 or 5 big things that were stressful for me at that moment, and then trying to figure out what I could do about them. So some things, there were practical things that you could do about that area of stress, and other things, it was changing the way you thought about that issue. So one of my big stresses was, I'm Australian, I'm a single mum, I want to be with my family. Do I take my daughter away from her dad and move back to Australia? Like, I had these really big things. Everyone's like going, which school are you going to send your daughter to? And I'm like, well, I don't know what hemisphere. So my head was in this total spin. So at that point, that was a big stress point, and it was making me spin out. So I ended up basically telling myself, accepting that for now, my daughter was going to start school in my local town. And I took some of that noise and that drama, and I kind of just said, for now, she's going to be here. And that took one layer of stress around that bucket of stress, which was a big bucket of stress for me. So I'd really encourage, if there's probably almost no scenario where someone burns out where there isn't stress, okay? So if you can think about practical ways that you can deal with some of your stress, and some of it will just be the way you're thinking about it. But I am going to share some oils things, because everyone knows lavender is good for kind of sleep. Essential oils are brilliant for supporting emotions. And the way that I kind of came across essential oils was that a lady had moved to the local town, and she'd moved from Australia, and she worked with essential oils. And she told me that 1 drop of peppermint was equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. And so I love that idea, because with chronic fatigue specifically, the doctors don't offer you anything to get better. Apart from, I've been offered antidepressants, and I've been told to kind of accept it, which is also kind of partly good advice, right? The acceptance part. But I didn't really want to accept it. I wanted to be proactive, identify the root causes and work on those, and try to improve my baseline. So yeah, I loved this idea of let food be thy medicine, that the healing nature of plants in all its forms. But for some reason, I hadn't kind of had essential oils as part of my toolkit. I had herbs, and I would eat healthy, and I'd take supplements, but I didn't really work with essential oils. So when she told me about this 1 drop of peppermint was 28 cups of peppermint tea, I was like, oh, great. I want to learn more about this as just a tool set alongside the other things that I'm doing to help myself get better. So I got myself this little starter kit of essential oils with the top 10 oils, had the peppermint in that she told me about, and I started to use those for just everyday things, immune support, breathing support, skin care, all that kind of stuff. Sorry, can I call you later? Right, so just in relation to this stress theme and ways in which you can reduce them using essential oils. So I work with this little set of 4 oils called the Mood Management Kit. And I'm going to show you some tips for how I use them. So one is called Balance. So Balance is a great blend for when you're feeling overwhelmed. And one of the ways that I use it is I'll just grab a little drop of this oil and pop it on my wrists and inhale. So it's a really good oil to use at the start of the day. So when you're getting your cup of tea, you're having your breakfast, I always have my supplements. That's kind of when what I call oil up. So I sort of stand in front of my oils collection and I think, what do I need to support myself today? And that might be putting some on topically on my skin, or it might be popping them in a diffuser. So there, I don't know if you can see, I've got a diffuser going, so I can just put 4 drops or 5 drops of the oil that I want to work with, put that in the diffuser, and it sort of sets the mood for the morning or the afternoon or the evening, depending on what time of day. So balance is really about grounding, because a lot of the times we get really in our heads and really busy, and we're operating up here somewhere with that, and we want to come back into our bodies. So that's the kind of role of this blend. So it pulls together a lot of tree oils and root oils, like to kind of pull us down to the earth. Another way that you can use balance is if you're doing a yoga practice, before you get on the mat and then inhale, you can also put up a couple of drops in your hand. Come on, balance. That's a little bit of carrier oil. When you put the oils on your skin, you generally want to use some carrier oil, and I'm using some fractionated coconut oil. Right, so that's the balance blend, which is grounding. Now, another blend is Serenity. So Serenity is calming. So I use this one at night. I put it in my diffuser, but I also use it in the day or in a situation where I think that I might feel triggered. So for example, I really don't like going through airports. So I made a rollerball. So a rollerball looks like this. So literally, it's just got a little roller, and it's like a little perfume rollerball. So I put in 5 drops of balance and I put 5 drops of serenity. So it's grounding and calming together. And then I was able to take that with me in my bag for going through the airport. I was in a big crowd, so I feel very sensitive to noise and big crowds. And I got this super overwhelmed feeling. And I got these 2 oils out as well then. So these are the calming and grounding ones in the mood management set that I like to work with. And the other 2, which are elevation and citrus bliss, these ones are blends. And what's really kind of easy about blends is that you don't have to be an aromatherapist to use them. They kind of do what they say on the tin. So elevation is, some days I feel really sorry for myself. You know, it's not easy when you're not sure if you're going to kind of, let's say, get back to living a normal life. So the elevation is really amazing when you're feeling that kind of gray feeling or feeling sorry for yourself and you need a lift. So it has single oils like Melissa in it, which is very powerful for low mood. It has citrus oils in it as well. And again, I could just smell it out of the bottle. Really, oh gosh, sorry, I love it. I can put it in the diffuser or I can put it on topically. Like, so the spine, the back of the neck is a really good place for a mood related oil because it's going to get to your brain. When we inhale out of the body, through our olfactory nerve, and it hits our limbic system within seconds. So, and what I like to do is to pair the oil with another self-care practice. So for me, going out in nature, feel sorry for myself, have the elevation, go for a walk. You know, that combination can really transform my mood in a day, because within one day, we can have lots of different moods. Like we were feeling good, then something happened, it threw us off track. And this can help kind of move us back onto track faster with feeling more positive there. So that's the elevation. And citrus bliss is the same kind of feeling. It's just a different combination of oils. It's a different aroma, but both of them are around lifting and uplifting. So all the citruses are uplifting. So they are really good little friends to have with you to lean on during the day as your emotions might change. As you kind of get into essential oils more, you're going to learn that there's so many different single oils that do different things that support our emotions. But I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too much information. I just want to inspire you that this could be a beautiful tool that you can use to support yourself. So my challenge is not to talk about too many different oils, but I'm in love with the flower oils. These were not going to be part of the talk, but I'm just going to show you anyway. So I've got my jasmine, frankincense, neroli, rose, magnolia. Okay, and I'm just going to pull out neroli as a specific one because neroli, it lowers cortisol levels, you know, so it's specifically related to stress. A lot of these will help with stress, but I do a neroli moustache. Just roll that along here. I'll do my neroli moustache. I roll it like a perfume. I roll it on my wrists, cover myself in it. And if I want more, if I want rose as well, rose is great for our heart chakra. It's good for immune, it's good for skin. I'll just add some rose. And if I'm feeling like some jasmine as well, I can just put whatever I'm feeling like on the day. So I like to think of these as pure fumes, right? People spend a lot of money on perfumes when they're going through duty-free and they're full of toxins. You don't know what's in them. All that is in this is jasmine and a carrier oil. There's 2 ingredients. Each bottle has had 54 tests at 4 different stages of the supply chain, but independent testing bodies. It's not sample tested. Every single batch is tested. So there's only 2 ingredients and they're super pure. So I know that I'm not putting toxins in my body, because toxins can be a root cause of fatigue and ill health and hormone imbalances. So for me, I was always living quite a natural life, but since I've been really trying to heal a lot, I have gone further with what I've done for my home and living a low tox lifestyle. So this is a great low tox swap using pure fumes, which are just beautiful flower oils. And I've had different things that I would consider traumatic happen and in this journey. And those are the ones I put on when I'm feeling really shaken up and I really need to kind of support myself. The frankincense as well. Sorry, I've gone nuts with those flowers, but that's what I do with them. And I like to have them where I can reach them. So my kitchen's a bit of an apothecary. I want it to feel like an apothecary. Oh, I'll just show you some of my things going on. I'm drying roses here. These are rose petals. That's a first time experiment. Anyway, that's a tangent. That's not part of the talk either. But what I wanted to share was that I went to someone's house and their oils were like in this top cupboard of the kitchen in a box that was almost padlocked. Like, how are you going to use your oils if they're like there? So I like to have them where I can just look at them and think, what do I feel or need right now? And I can put them on. So I have some near my bedside table for sleeping, and I have some in my bathroom that are related to skincare, or like eucalyptus that I like to put in my shower to invigorate. So I put them in different points in my house so that they're easy for me to use when I need them. Right. So, and I was talking about the bathroom. So these are a few self-care practices that are yummy. Having a bath, obviously you can put 2 handfuls of the Epsom salts. Epsom salts is the biggest source of magnesium, sorry, I won't say biggest, it's the cheapest source of magnesium. And magnesium is very good for your nervous system. And everyone knows it's relaxing for muscles and all that kind of stuff. So I keep a big Kilner jar near my bath. I'll put 2 handfuls of Epsom salts, and then I put whatever I feel like. But you could use any of those mood management oils, probably more the calming ones like Balance and Serenity. You could use lavender. And then in the morning, I'll tend to use, like in a shower, more like eucalyptus, peppermint, and things that will open up my airways and make me feel more alert. After you've had a shower, I wanted to share with you something called a self-care practice called Aromatic Dressing. So again, this is along a low-tox theme and kind of a self-love, self-care theme. I get a little bowl. It can be a soy sauce, chish, anything really, but my friend made this pottery bowl herself, and it's made specifically for aromatic dressing, but an egg cup is fine. And you want to put a squidge of coconut oil or any carrier oil that you're using. The reason I like this coconut oil is it doesn't smell and it's liquid format. So it's probably about a tablespoon. So I'm going to put a tablespoon in, squidge of that. And then I put in that oil, which is beautiful on my skin, whatever I'm working with. So I'm going to go with today Serenity. Okay. So I'm going to put 4 drops. So I'm either going to put 4 drops of, actually, I'll just do 3. 3 will be fine. And then I just literally, I'm out the shower, imagine, and I'm going to dip, and then I'm working towards my heart center. And this is good for lymphatic drainage. So I'm applying this. So it's just a moisturizing cream, basically, guys. It's low tox. I'm applying this and working towards my heart center, rubbing it all over my skin, on your arms, towards your heart center, back. And then anything left over you can put in your hair. It'll be nice for your hair, and you're going to bring that smell into your hair. So what I like about that is that I'm low tox moisturizing, but I'm helping my lymphatic system, especially if I'm not moving as much as I'd be liking to because of energy restrictions. And I'm giving my parasympathetic nervous system some super love with my Serenity that I chose. So you can choose anything you like to go in there. And as you kind of go on, you can get more witchy with it. But one witch way, because I'm still a beginner witch. And when I say witch, I just mean I quite enjoy working with plants and herbs and oils and mixing things together. I don't know how to do any spells. I'm not really a witch. But this Gifts of Essential Oils book, one way, it has lots of beautiful recipes and blends. So I just like open it up and look, it's on this page, it's ylang ylang, and it's got heart chakra. It says ylang ylang, geranium, lime, marjoram, and thyme. So it gives you an idea, and literally you could put 1 drop of each of those in your blend and work with that for the day. Or you could put 1 drop of each of those and put it in your diffuser and have that going on as what you want to work with that day. So you don't have to be an expert, but with a set of oils and a book, you can play. And I enjoy playing with them and using them to support my emotions and my health. So that's aromatic dressing. We've talked about bath salts and definitely like diffusing in the evening and for bed. So I'm going to get on to energy because we were talking about burnout. So one of the things definitely to manage energy is to try to the more we are in fight or flight, the more exhausted our body is going to be because we're running from the danger. Okay, so the more we can bring our body into our calm and relaxed state, the less exhausted we're going to be. So all the things I've just talked about are really great for helping to kind of the parasympathetic nervous system. But some of the things I do to energize is I do take supplements. I was taking them before Doterra, but I use the Doterra supplements now because they're made out of plants and they are not synthetic, so our body can absorb them. So I'm taking the multivitamin, the omega, and the cellular repair, and I'm taking a supplement specifically to support mitochondria function. So that's the cellular part. It's our cells which produce the energy. So this one, Mito 2 Max, helps me with my energy production, which is impaired. So one of the things I do is a daily habit to support my energy is to supplement well. It's really hard to get all the nutrients we need just from healthy diet because the soils are so depleted. So that can be a talk in itself, supplementation. Another little thing I do with these couple of the oils from the top 10 kit is the peppermint. It's so invigorating. So I can pop a drop in my hands, rub it together. And I can just inhale that. I've talked about popping it in the shower. If I put a bit of a carrier, where did the carrier go here? I can rub it into my neck and shoulders. So it will help relieve tension in my neck and shoulders, but it'll also make me feel more zingy. But another way I could use this peppermint is because they're pure and they're food grade, I can use it in water. So most essential oils you would definitely not use internally. So doTERRA ones are pure enough that you can, but some are not recommended for internal use. Like you don't have arbor vitae is a tree. You don't use that internally. It says on the bottle, not for an internal use. But peppermint is something we can have internally, and I can pop it in my water. So I do that in the morning. And the other one I like to use, and I also do the peppermint. Say if I've got a drive, I did it before this talk to help my mind stay focused, because I find with chronic fatigue, you have a lot of brain fog. Frankincense, I take this internally. I drop it into my mouth straight away, but you could put it on a teaspoon or you can put it in a veggie cap. I'm going to have some water after that. Sorry, I've just dripped a little bit. And I know, for example, that I have adrenal fatigue. I have issues with my adrenals from all the stress. So basil is a great adrenal oil. So I can grab some basil and I can just rub that over my back. Now, I don't know exactly where my adrenals are, but I know they're somewhere in the middle of my back. That's as far as my knowledge has gone. And I just rub that over my back. And it doesn't matter. The spine, feet, and sort of neck are really good places when you're applying topically, because within about 30 seconds, the oil enters your bloodstream and it spreads out through your body. So basil is a nice one to use if you've got adrenal issues. And Then you can use in your diffuser oils that are going to support the thing that you're doing. So if you are trying to focus and you're working at home, then one blend I love is basil, which is for adrenals, rosemary for focus, and lemongrass, which is really invigorating. It's really fresh and beautiful together. You can do lime and lemon are really good for sort of concentrating. Eucalyptus, so you can start to play with oils which are going to help you just feel that little bit more focused in terms of getting stuff done if you're at home and you need to make the most of a small window of time or energy. Another part of energizing is actually having proper enough sleep and good sleep. So I mentioned the Serenity at the start. There are also these Serenity soft gels that are a little capsule which has herbs like passion flower plus lavender oil plus L-theanine. So these, I take 2 of those and I diffuse the Serenity for sleep, just to help with my sleep, because my personal story is that with fatigue, you can often be tired but wired, so you can't get to sleep, you can't stay to sleep, you wake up in the middle of the night. So it'd take me 2 or 3 hours to get to sleep, and then I'd wake up around 3 and I'd be awake till around 6, and I'd fall asleep for an hour and have to get up and do the school run, and I'd be so shattered because I slept terribly. So if you are feeling exhausted and fatigued, I really would take a good look at how you're sleeping. And if you aren't sleeping well, then I would love to give you guys some Serenity samples, enough for 3 days, to see if it can help. You know, I'd give you some Serenity and I will just post it. If you can pay the postage, PayPal me postage, I'll send these to you for free. Just 3 days worth to see whether or not it can help you get into that sleep process. Because now I sleep really deeply, I sleep through the night, and I get to sleep very well. And it makes such a big difference, especially to your mood. If you haven't slept well, everyone knows what an impact that can, knock-on impact that can have. So, so I've covered quite a lot. I'm not going to give you any more oils tips. I'm going to invite you, if you feel interested to learn more, then I love to share more. So anybody that wants to connect one-to-one to explore specific issues, that's great. But I want to leave you with another thought. And this is why it can be quite complex, I think, when people have been feeling fatigued for a long time, whether it's chronic fatigue or just fatigued, burnt out. There can be a range of different root causes that can vary from person to person. So I feel like I've had to be a bit of a health detective over the years. I have paid for private little tests and different things to try to pinpoint what's going on. But here's some of the root causes: gut health, okay? Candida and parasites, if you Google the symptoms of those 2 things, they can cause fatigue and brain fog by themselves, with that being the only thing. So I've done a lot of work on my gut health. Toxicity. So I have had tests. I have heavy metal toxicity. I've had my mercury fillings removed. I've done work on trying to detoxify from that, getting filtered water and all sorts of different things. Toxicity can be an issue. Environmental issues in your home, mold, like if you have mold in your house, you might not even be able to see it. Like it might be behind tiles in your bathroom, but mold is very damaging to our health and can really impact fatigue. And it's quite a big topic, so I'm not going to go into it, but just to know that if you've spotted anything then it's worth investigating more and getting to the root cause. So for example, in my house, I've had to put extractor fans in. It wasn't working. I was so overwhelmed. I didn't really know it was a problem, but my bathroom extractor fan, that's just a practical example of like, I've gone and got it fixed, so that I'm trying to make sure that there's more ventilation and all those different things. Hormones, I mentioned my adrenals. So I had adrenal fatigue stage 3. I had tests that showed me that, but there's obviously lots of different aspects of hormonal balance, and that can really impact fatigue, especially if we're going through perimenopause and menopause. And there are essential oil blends that can support specifically for hormones as well. And breathing. So Katie and I were talking about breathing before. I just read a book called James Nestor, Breathe. And he's a storyteller, and I like that because that resonates with me. I can understand things when they're stories. And he had for 10 days, he had a doctor plug up his nose so he could only mouth breathe. And in that 10 days, a lot of his vital statistics deteriorated so significantly. And he noticed about energy and fatigue as well. And so I know that I mouth breathe. And so I'm just starting now. Like, you can't do all of these things simultaneously. It will be overwhelming in itself. So I had to take almost a root cause, like one area, and just work on that. I'm going to work on gut health to start. So if you have an idea of what your root causes are, don't try and tackle everything at once. It's impossible. You're layering self-care practices, and then some things will become normal and other things will be dealt with, like I've got my extractor fan fix. But now for my own healing journey, I'm working on breathing. That's where I'm kind of drawn to work on. So my quality of life is incomparable to the way that it was, but I can't live the way that I was. So the goal isn't to go back to how you used to be, because how you used to be made you sick. Okay. So it's not to get yourself better, do all these interventions and then be able to do what you were doing, but it's trying to find a new way, and it's trying to find the lifestyle and the pace and the way that you need to live that is going to support your well-being over the next phase of your life, whatever age you are now. But I know that I have to live very differently and much more slowly, and it's not a bad thing from what I used to live. And I shared on my Instagram, actually, I'm at nourish_with_oils. Just my last post was about masculine and feminine energy. And what I kind of recognize now is that I operated a lot with my masculine energy of driving, achieving, getting things done, pushing. And that was probably part of what made me sick. When we operate too much in our masculine energy, it depletes our energy. And I've been reading more about divine feminine, and there's lots of interesting books around that topic, but it's not natural for me. Like, I was someone, the way I know how to get things done is to go like this, you know? And so what I notice is in the things that I try and attempt to do now in a different world, not in management consulting world, it's easy to fall into the old pattern of that push, you know, of hustle and but you're bringing those old traits of how you operate into a new context, but it's still that old way of operating. So bloody hell, it's a journey. So I think I might shut up and just thank you. I hope there was some little bits in there that were useful for anyone listening, and just wish you all the best for your own journeys around getting more balance in your life, and just invite any questions that might have come up.
Oh, Teresa, thank you so much. That was absolutely brilliant. I wrote down so many notes, even though I know about your work, but so much of what you said, especially at the end there, I think is so important. And you've really tapped into exactly why I wanted to run this week, because although we're all coming at it from slightly different angles, it's absolutely the pressures that we all feel in different ways of this kind of patriarchal society that's push, hustle, and really isn't about balancing the kind of masculine and feminine. And it might be that the kind of the burnout or whatever ends up stopping us in our tracks is different for everyone. But what's, I think, important, and why I loved your talk then, was about, one, it's about acceptance. And I know you, but in the beginning there, you said about the doctor that actually that was, apart from the antidepressants, that was actually a really good bit of advice, because you're not trying to go back to how you were. It's about accepting. In many ways, it's hard, isn't it? These bad things can happen to us, or what we perceive to be bad, but actually they take us on a new path, and it's accepting that perhaps actually that's, is what we needed. Unfortunately, so many of us don't see the signs. I've been there myself, pushing through, working from home when I was sick. And I look back now and think, what was I doing? But society puts that pressure on us. And actually, I think that we all have a duty, the ones that have woken up to this way of being, to actually share that there's another way of being. And just because it's not seen as the societal norm doesn't mean that it's wrong, and it's okay.
And I see now this kind of period of my life, because I've been reading about divine feminine, they talk about liminal space. There's like the old and there's the new, the place that you're going, and there's that place in between. And sometimes a chronic illness can be like that liminal space, and it's transformational because you're going to like transform to almost be the person that you were meant to be. And partly why you might be getting ill is because you're not doing and being the kind of soul purpose, you're not doing what you're meant to be doing, and it's kind of trying to jolt you to get to that new path. So that really resonated with me when I was reading some of the books during lockdown, when I tore myself off Netflix.
Absolutely. And it's hard, isn't it, when you find yourself, it's so much that you were saying as well, where you don't know if you're going to get better or anything, but actually it's a bit like that kind of chrysalis period, isn't it? And what actually, it's a hard period of time, but actually what can kind of be birthed at the end of it can be something beautiful. And it's finding the right methods to support you. And I know that will be different for everyone. And you've given us some brilliant tips there, I have to say. I mean, I use oils as part of my life, along with other kind of self-care things that, again, they'll be different for everyone. So it's about finding that balance about what works for you. So I think that has been really, really useful. Thank you so much. I have one question, and I'll just pass it if Jill or Tracy does. But I think it would be really handy if you could just sort of briefly tell people a little bit about how essential oils work, because I think for some people they think, oh yeah, they smell nice and they feel lovely, but actually there's a lot more to it than that, isn't it? I know you touched upon about actually it getting into your bloodstream really quickly, and a little bit about when you sniff them, but there is actual scientific research around that as well, isn't there, about how they can really help you?
So people that love science, there's a website called aromaticscience.com. But they're definitely not like just pretty smells. I don't have essential oils to make my house smell nice. I have them because I want a therapeutic benefit, which is why I use the Doterra ones. So some people are literally like want to have a little like plug-in, those plugins, anything that has the word fragrance is a toxin. But anyway, there's some people that are really drawn to essential oils because they just want their house to smell nice. But I've always been using them in a therapeutic, like medicinal way. And so, on the emotions, super powerful, hitting the olfactory within seconds, the limbic system, and resetting and supporting. So sorry, that's not super scientific. I'm more of a storyteller.
No, sorry, I didn't really mean as in that I wasn't expecting the kind of like the science side of it, but I was saying there is more to it than just like the pretty smell. That it does actually really enter into your body very quickly, doesn't it? And it does sort of have on the limbic system and all of those things.
I've been using them loads for immune support. So like my daughter's upstairs off school now with a sore throat. We've done a lateral flow. It's nothing that bad, but like my sister had tonsillitis, and we used this blend which is in the little family medicine cabinet, family essential cabinet one, and she couldn't go to the doctors because it was the weekend, and then by the time it was Monday she didn't need to. So they're really powerful, antiviral, antibacterial, a lot of them are antifungal. Each one will have different properties, antiparasitical, some of them are sedatives. So I loved getting to know what I can lean into, but the starter kit has a huge amount of immune and respiratory support oils. It can be for discomfort, like my dad. He couldn't sleep because of pain, so we use this deep blue one on with the copaiba, which is a bit like CBD, works on the CBT receptors. So they're quite incredible. He put 3 drops on his knees, and he was on codeine forte, 3 drops on his knees, and the highest strength medications weren't cutting it, and this lasted 72 hours that he had the benefit from it. So yeah, I love the fact that you only need a little bit, so because it's so concentrated, you only ever need a little bit. So yeah,
I love the fact that you can mix them as well, like you say, once you get to know, and it's almost like that apothecary feel, isn't it? Like, oh, I'll have a little bit of that and a little bit of that. And
yeah, so as you know, like where I would recommend most people start is like a top 10 oils kit, or if they're interested in the moods, that mood management one with the 4 that I talked through. And then you just grab a couple of books, and I'd recommend which books, but the Gifts of Essential Lives of Oils, this one here is beautiful for more the spiritual side, and it almost talks about the plant law of that plant, like how that the plant spirit almost, but then a more practical, I'll call it a more practical one. This is my more practical, like you've broken a bone and you like look up in the index broken bones and it will have a remedy for broken bones. So this is more of a medicine cabinet type practical book. So with these 2 books, you can do so much. And oh yeah, look, this is the Clean Home one with lots of recipes for green cleaning. So yeah, it's for me also, if I'm honest, it's given me a passion. A lot of people, when they are literally like off work sick, they are lonely and they're disconnected and they're bored, and I've not been bored one single second. Boredom's never been a challenge for me. So it's
Jill or Tracy, do you have any questions for Teresa at all? Feel free to unmute yourself or pop it in the chat.
Hi.
Hi, Jill.
Hello. Great talk. It resonates with me a lot being in corporate, and I've never heard of Divine Feminine, but I've been like over the last few months realizing that as I operate in a totally masculine environment for nearly 25 years, that yeah, I need to get back to my feminine side. And especially in my business, I'm like you said, I'm just like go, 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 go. And so did you say it's called Divine Feminine?
Let me just bring you. I can't remember the name of it, but I think I know it's in my lounge room. And if I can see it quickly, I'll be able to give you the exact name. And if I can't, I'll let Katie know. I can't see it quickly.
Okay, so, there's no worries. I'll look it up.
I'll look up the author, but it really was a new area for me, like a new way of thinking. And I thought back to myself in my black suits. I used to wear the suits with the trousers, and then I used Thomas Pink. I'd bring colour in my Thomas Pink shirts, but I was really masculine. And I really noticed the partners at this firm, the ones that were at the top were the hardest. They're the most unfeminine kind of hard woman. The ones that made partner that were in the old generation were quite hard, if you know what I mean.
They look like a male, basically.
Even their haircuts and the young. What I loved when I started to see the younger females hit partner is that you could talk about friends with them. It was just this. It was changing, and I started to wear more like dresses at work too, so I could feel I was changing. And it wasn't just about what you're wearing, it's just that all of the way the targets and everything in the place would work, like you can't breathe, you know. And I think for me it changed a lot when I became a mum. Like I found it harder, and I've been to business networking things kind of like now, and I see, like, say maybe there's 8 of us and everyone's introducing yourself, and I can feel it really strongly now when I see someone really operating still in the masculine, and they're kind of like, I feel myself going like this, like I don't really want to hang out with them. Sorry, I don't.
I only got to the recognizing stage. I haven't got further than that at the moment, because it's been a new thing that I've suddenly realized in the last few months. So I didn't kind of know that people have written books on it and stuff. So
I think it might be called "You Are a Goddess," but I'm going
okay,
to.
well, I can
Yeah.
Google, find out. Thank
There's
you.
loads of books out there around it, Jill. If you look on, there is You Are a Goddess. I've listened to that one as well, and
Oh.
it's all about, and but there are loads out there. But also, like you were just saying about the balance of the masculine and the feminine, we find that if we're too much in one over the other, this is where we will start having the issues. It is fascinating, and we are in such a patriarchal dominated society, and like you say, I think a lot of us are waking up to it now, and about how we do business and life and everything. And actually for so long, especially as you say, if you've been in corporate, it was expected. It's like how you get gain success and credibility and all of those things, but actually it can be so damaging for so many of us as well. And then we come out and we start running our own businesses, but we find that we are still kind of bringing those kind of patterns over with us. And so, as you said, you can still find yourself, although you've broken free in some ways, the shackles are still there, and you can still end up finding yourself burning out. And so it's definitely, but you know, recognizing it is huge in itself. And then it's just about, like I think Teresa said, just layering on like one bit at a time, isn't it? Not trying to tackle it all at once, because it can feel really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I'm on this Facebook group. It's by the Optimum Health Clinic, and they have it's chronic fatigue specifically, but what they recognize is that people with chronic fatigue, and I'll just say people that burn out a lot or have this cycle of burnout, a lot of them are achiever type. So, oh yeah, that's me. Like, I got the highest marks in my school. Like, it's just like I got promoted quickly. What is it about me that wants to work so hard to achieve that? And I think it's probably the people pleaser thing, like that validation of someone saying, good job, you know. I don't know, but I think it's interesting if you are an achiever type to try to dig, why is it? I haven't properly solved that, I don't think. And the second thing is,
Just frozen.